this evening, in a big relief for the entire country, the Indian Navy has successfully rescued all 21 crew members, including the 15 Indians on board a Liberian-flagged merchant vessel that had been hijacked in Somalia. Those visuals on your screens are from the rescue operation that the Indian Navy Commandos carried out. The attempt of hijacking by the pirates was probably abandoned with the forceful warning by the Indian Navy as they confirmed the absence of the hijackers on the vessel. This, remember, comes after an SOS was sent out by the crew of the merchant vessel that about 6 to 7 armed people had taken over the vessel called MV Lila Norfolk. And INS Chennai was sent in for this rescue operation. Meanwhile, Indian Navy Chief Admiral R. Hari Kumar has issued directives to the Indian warships operating in the Arabian Sea to take the strictest possible action against the pirates. 4 Indian Navy warships are mission deployed in the Arabian Sea to deter attacks on merchant ships in the region. My colleague Shivani joins us with the latest on this. Shivani, a huge relief for all of us as we saw news of the ship being hijacked, and now, of course, the Indian Navy Commandos having rescued not just the 15 people on board, but the entire crew of 21 on the vessel that was hijacked.
Sure, this is indeed a big relief for 15 Indians and 6 Philippine crew members who were on board this merchant vessel that had raised an alarm yesterday evening, after which INS Chennai had started approaching towards this merchant vessel. And the commandos from Indian Navy, they took over this merchant vessel and they tried to, they were looking for the hijackers, but they were not present, and the ship was sanitized. Perhaps these hijackers had jumped off this particular merchant vessel after the warning was issued by Indian Navy's helicopter in that area, which had maintained a contact between this merchant vessel and the INS Chennai warship that was mission deployed in that region. And after the warning, this was being monitored. The merchant vessel was continuously being monitored by the Indian Navy, and Marcos were deployed there. And today evening, as we broke the story, the Marcos took over this merchant vessel. They sanitized the whole area, and they found that the crew members were safe in the citadel of this ship. So perhaps these hijackers, these pirates, they jumped off the ship after the warning was issued, and when they saw that INS Chennai is approaching this merchant vessel and they are being monitored, they are being looked on. So this is a good news that 15 Indians are now safe who were on board this merchant vessel that took off from the shore of Somalia, and that was being taken up by these hijackers, these 5-6 armed men who were on board this merchant vessel. So this whole operation was successful, and Marcos are also now looking for these hijackers in that region. They are being looked for who these people were. The investigations will go on, though we know that the rescue operation is over for the merchant vessel right now. But Indian Navy, and as you also mentioned, that the Indian Navy chief has given strict directives to look for these hijackers, who these hijackers were, who these pirates were. And we all know that 4 warships from the Indian Navy have been mission deployed in that region to counter these kind of attempts, to counter these kind of piracy attempts by these hijackers. And this was one successful rescue operation that the Indian Navy has carried out today.
All right, Shivani, thank you very much for joining us with those inputs. The latest, of course, being the huge relief that all 21 on board this hijacked vessel have been rescued by the Indian Navy. Of course, the hijackers remain at large as the Marcos Commandos look for them in the region, as my colleague Shivani told us. We'll keep getting you the latest on this.